Well, hey everybody, it's Ethan Roberts from Mastering TQQQ Trading. You know, today was an unbelievable day, another day where we had huge gains in the NASDAQ 100, and of course, TQQQ, that gets magnified by 3. And I think we're up about 11% plus the last 3 trading days or so. But where do we go from here? That's what everybody wants to know. We got all kinds of geopolitical things happening, and it could be very volatile ahead. So let's take a look. Well, before we get going with the video, I just wanted to remind you of 2 big events coming up for this channel. Wednesday night, October 29th, we have the first class in our 4-week course, Mastering TQQQ Trading. And that's going to be a really, really big event. You can get more information in the link below the video. And the second big event I want to tell you about is starting November 3rd. That's a Monday. We're going to have a daily newsletter devoted exclusively to TQQQ, and that's going to be filled with news that's going on for the companies in the NASDAQ 100, as well as strategies that we use for trading. And we're going to have a look at the past performances, and we're going to have highlights on indicators that we use and all kinds of other things. So I'm going to leave that description below as well, and so check that out. Well, hey guys, TQQQ is up over 11% in the last 3 trading days, and that's making everybody feel fat and happy. I mean, everybody's portfolio is up, and happy days are here again. It's like the roaring 20s. But, nothing lasts forever in the stock market. Things go up, they go down, things can change. So let's take a little bit deeper look at TQQQ, what's going on in the last week, and see what we might be looking at in the days ahead. Well, this is the 10-day chart, and I'm using 60-minute time frames here on my candlesticks. And you can see right here, this is a couple of days ago, when the 8-period EMA, or exponential moving average, crossed over the 20-period simple moving average, or SMA, and after that TQQQ just went ballistic, and we've had an 11.3% gain over the last 3 trading days. These are some of the recent catalysts for TQQQ's performance. We had a very tame inflation report last Friday. As you may recall, the CPI came in lower than Wall Street's expectations, and that really provided a jump start for the tech stocks. We've also had an easing of the U.S.-China tensions in the last couple of days. We have an upcoming meeting between President Trump and Xi of China to discuss rare earths, soybeans, TikTok, and tariffs, among other things. We have a prospect of future interest rate cuts, and we have the Thailand-Cambodia peace deal and extension of ceasefire. All of this has created a perfect storm, which has allowed the market to really rally a great deal. However, could we have something more like Hurricane Melissa coming up in a little while? Let's see. A couple of the things that I look at are the 2-period RSI and the 14-period RSI, as well as the daily and the weekly stochastics. And once we start getting up into the 90 range on the 2-period RSI, it really starts to get overbought. And on the weekly, once we get over 70, that's really overbought for the 14-period. We use the longer 14-period RSI on the weekly chart. As far as the stochastic goes, the daily, anything that's above 80 is going to be considered overbought, and on the weekly, the same thing. Well, right now, we have a daily 2-period RSI at 95 and change, a weekly 14-period RSI at 70 and change, a daily stochastic at 91 and change, and a weekly stochastic at 92 and change. Well, what does all this mean? It means danger, warning. Okay, it doesn't mean that the move is over. It could last another couple of days, maybe even a week, but it does start to mean that the risk of a pullback becomes equal to or greater than the prospect for future gains. So here's a couple of ways you can protect your TQQQ positions going forwards. Number one, you can put in stop loss orders about 2 or 3% below the present prices. And then if we get a bad pullback, you'll be out with, substantially less of a loss than we could see. I mean, there are times that TQQQ can drop 10%. I've seen it happen 6% in a day, maybe 10% in a week. So putting in a stop loss order can protect you from that. Another thing you can do is to sell out of the money or OTM covered calls that expire this Friday, October 31st. And the reason I'm saying do a short term is because, decay is on your side. When you're selling options, you want that decay, and the shorter the time frame, the more the decay you're going to get. Now, if something happens where this meeting doesn't go well between the US and the Chinese, by Friday, you're going to have a big impact from that. So I would sell the OTM covered calls that expire this Friday rather than going out any further than that. As an example, at the close today, the $118 strike is bid $2.26 with an ask of $2.45, and the 120 strike is $1.50 to $1.55. So one more thing you can do, you can buy out of the money TQQQ puts, but this time I suggest going out a week further to November 7th because we want the slower decay working against us when we buy an option. So now we have a $113 strike. You're looking at $2.85 on the bid and $2.99 on the ask. So here's my question. What happens to TQQQ if this Trump-Xi meeting accomplishes little to nothing? Okay? And what happens to TQQQ if the meeting is a success, but what we're seeing is a classic example of buy the rumor and sell the news? In either event, we could see a big sell-off in the NASDAQ 100. And this is about what it would look like. And what about the government shutdown? Why isn't nobody is talking about the government shutdown that continues to drag on and on and on? And we really haven't seen any negative repercussions from it yet. But, who knows what's coming down the pike with this as we go out longer and longer. Already we're starting to see layoffs. We've seen some more layoffs happening today. So this really could be a big thing. And it's something to keep an eye on. The bottom line, right now, the NASDAQ 100 and, of course, TQQQ is in a rip-roaring bull market that recently broke through resistance at $109.66. I did another video on that I'll link also in the comments below. TQQQ is becoming very overbought, however, and traders are anticipating a perfect economic and political scenario. And how often do we see that? But the main thing I do want you to realize is that small investors are now rushing into a very crowded trade. And when does that happen? That happens very close to the peak of an asset's price. So enjoy the ride as long as it lasts, but protect yourself from any downside that we could encounter. Well, if you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Check out the newsletter and the course, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye for now.